It's absolutely... And you tell me, how is it going to cost that much money to put it back right? What are you going to do? He's replanted it. He's redone it.
Thank you.
Let's have a bit of fun.
Rylan on Saturday.
Afternoon, Sal.
Can I have a Nicki Minaj song?
Oh, hang on, let me check. I've got the clean version. Listen, I don't know if it's clean or dirty, but we're going to play it anyway because it's your birthday. What are you doing tonight, Mum?
I'm going to start watching Sex in the City. Are you reckon it's really...
Excuse me? I don't know if I want you watching it, but all right.
Will you please just be quiet?
You keep headbutting the
I'm sorry you
microphone.
keep making me laugh.
I was nervous waiting for this.
Joe, you ain't got to be worried on our show.
Joe, no one's listening, so it's fine.
No one listens to this show.
Rylan on Saturday.
Saturday afternoon from 3 on Radio 2, or listen now on the BBC Sounds app.
So much on this story of the farmer. Robin Salisbury says our Environment Agency has wrecked our riverbanks, cut down trees and trapped water voles in the name of flood defence. I'm heartbroken. Stay with us. It's BBC Radio 2 on the smart speaker, the Sounds app, and 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 1 o'clock. This is Catherine Cracknell. Dominic Raab has resigned from the government but has called a report on bullying allegations against him flawed. A second woman has alleged she was raped while working for the business organisation, the CBI. And Royal Mail has reached a deal with unions to end a long-running dispute about pay and conditions. Rishi Sunak has said he's accepted the resignation of his deputy, Dominic Raab, with great sadness after a report on claims of bullying. Mr Raab quit after reading the report but used his resignation letter to dispute the findings against him. In his reply, Mr Sunak highlighted what he called shortcomings in the process. Our political correspondent Nick Eardley has seen the report and says there are things which make uncomfortable reading for Mr Raab.
It's at the Foreign Office that I think that Dominic Raab comes in for the most criticism, because it's there that this senior lawyer says that Mr Raab behaved in a way that was intimidating and unreasonably and persistently aggressive. And I suspect it's that sort of thing that Dominic Raab's critics will jump on.
Speaking before the publication of the report, Dave Penman from the FDA, which represents senior civil servants, criticised Rishi Sunak for not sacking Mr Raab.
He's allowed Dominic Raab to resign under his own terms. He's allowed him to belittle the complaints and dispute the process, and yet we still can't see the evidence that was collected against him. So I've spoken to some of the victims of his bullying this morning, and they feel that this is just adding insult to injury.
The Liberal Democrats called on Mr Raab to resign his seat and trigger a by-election. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, questioned the judgment of the Prime Minister.
Well, the big question for the Prime Minister is why he was so weak to appoint him in the first place. The second question for the Prime Minister is why he didn't sack him. And now it's left to Dominic Raab to resign, and the Prime Minister hasn't acted. And it's that indecision, it's that weakness, I think, that goes to the heart, not just of this Prime Minister, but of 13 years now of failure. And it's why people desperately want to change.
A second woman has alleged she was raped while working at the business group, the CBI. The organisation, which campaigns on behalf of thousands of firms, has said it'll work with the police. Here's our business correspondent, Mark Ashdown.
The latest allegation of rape is from a woman who says she was assaulted by two male colleagues. The Guardian reported the attack took place when the woman was working at one of the CBI's overseas offices. It's the second such accusation which police are now investigating. Another woman had already said she was raped at a CBI summer boat party in 2019. A range of claims about sexual harassment, bullying and drug taking at the organisation are also under investigation by independent lawyers. 3 employees remain suspended. The CBI described the latest allegation as abhorrent and said it would work with the police to bring the perpetrators to justice.
An officer with Greater Manchester Police has been found guilty of causing serious injury by dangerous driving. PC Sarah de Merlemeester was behind the wheel of a police vehicle which hit 15-year-old Kaya Whitehead in Stockport on Boxing Day in 2020, leaving him with life-changing brain injuries. The Postal Workers Union, the CWU, has recommended its members accept the latest pay offer from Royal Mail's owner. The row about pay, jobs and conditions led to a number of strikes last year. The agreement will now be put to a vote of union members. Zoe Conway is the BBC's employment correspondent.
This agreement could bring to an end one of the most bad-tempered of all the industrial disputes. Postal workers are being offered a 6% pay rise for this year, 2% for next year and a one-off cash payment of £500. But this standoff has always been about so much more than money. It's the changes to working practices that have been the hardest to agree. one of the most contentious, Sunday working, will now be compulsory for new recruits, but stay voluntary for existing staff. Postal workers will also be required to start their shifts up to 90 minutes later.
Germany has appointed a commission to examine again the attack on Israeli athletes at the 1972 Munich Olympics. 11 Israelis were killed after being taken hostage by a militant Palestinian faction. Most of the victims died during a failed rescue attempt. There have long been allegations of security failures. A train operator has cut services because of a fuel problem. South Western Railway says performance issues with its diesel-powered trains, which serve the West Country, were first reported on Wednesday. The affected trains have been taken out of service. And the weather, rain or heavy showers, which could be thundery, will affect parts of England and Wales this afternoon, with some brighter spells in between. It'll be sunny in northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Temperatures reaching 9 Celsius in Cardiff, 11 in Edinburgh, Manchester and London, and 15 in Belfast. That's the BBC News at 1:05.
Thank you so much. Now, in this hour, we're going to meet the brilliant Radio 2 scientist Chris Smith, and he will take any questions you have that are sciencey.
Listen live on the BBC Sounds app.
BBC Radio 2.
Must ask about the Elon Musk rocket yesterday, which had, what was it called? An RUD? Rapid Unplanned Disassembly. It basically blew up.